Um, I'm hoping this is not like any networking meeting that you've ever been to. We're not going to talk about, well, just listen to me. We're not going to talk about resumes. We're not going to talk about cover letters, business cards, marketing plans, finding jobs on Twitter, how to network, how to find hiring managers, how to negotiate salary. We're not going to talk about any of that. Because we've all been to meetings where we talked about those things. And to the point of when you start listening to the experts, I mean, how many people have gone to a networking event and the expert tells you, well, I've helped 500 people, or 1,000 people, and you say, oh, well, I'll pay this person $300 for their service. That's another thing. It's a weird, in transition, we're like, we got big targets on this. I mean, how many people, financial advisors are after us like crazy? Somebody told me we had money. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But we're like, we're the last people to talk about money. But they always want to manage our finances. They, I'll rewrite your resume with ladders. They send me this email every couple of days where they'll do my resume for $700. And I'm on the job.
Right.
But also, and on this subject, if anybody, because I know everybody always wants somebody to look at their resume. Just to let you know, the state of Georgia has certified resume writers on staff who will look at your resume for free. They're certified. Call your local Department of Labor office. This is not part of this, this is something that's not going to just let you know. Call your local Department of Labor office. I don't think you can pay for that either. And if they don't have one at your local office, just keep calling me out so you can find it. But I know the one that Togo Hills has one. And the thing is, these people get certified through the state, and then they quit because then they go out and they start charging people $3 or $4 a piece. But while they're at the Department of Labor, it's free. So, I mean, nothing against any of the networking events that have resume review, but the state has certified resume writers, and your tax dollars are paid. So anyway, that was my digression. But anyway, as I was saying, the reason I don't talk about all those resumes and cover letters and business cards and all those things is because we always talk about that stuff. And what I've noticed is when you go to an event and you hear an expert talk about these things, they don't give you a good context. If somebody says, well, I've helped 1,000 people, I've helped 1,000, they may say, I've helped 1,000 IT people get jobs. Well, that's nice, but I'm not an IT person. But I can help you too, because I've helped them. Well, the first question I say, well, if you helped 1,000 people, how many people have you tried to help? Because if you've helped 1,000 and you tried to help 1,001, you're good. If you tried to help 100,000 and you only helped 1,000. I don't know if I would give you my money. The other thing too about somebody, expert trying to get you to pay for their services, nobody will guarantee you anything. Or even if they say, well, I'll guarantee you an interview. If I'm paying you, I don't want an interview, I want a job. When you guarantee me that I'll have an ID with my picture on it, then I'll pay you. Until that point. But my point is, the context matters. And I'm not going to delve too much into the Bible, but something in the Bible as well. You've heard the phrase, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No formed against me shall prosper. And you've heard people say that, but they don't know the whole story of that chapter. And they think that, oh, well, if somebody pulls a gun, I can just go stand in front of them and tell them, go ahead, pull the trigger, because the weapon formed against you shall prosper, because I said. But the context matters. If somebody says, you've heard people say, just wait on the Lord. I'll go home and wait on the Lord to give me a job. Okay, I know somebody was told that at a networking event, the person told them to go home and wait for the Lord to give them a job. Which, why are you holding a networking event if everybody needs to go home and work? But the thing is, when I say context, when they say wait on the Lord, they don't mean wait home, sit home and wait, watch home. Nothing against over. But again, my point is, when you hear things, you got to understand the context around it. I have a couple of quotes here. Here's one. Constant dripping hollows out a stone. And that's kind of what we have seen in transition. You know, when you apply for a job online, you immediately get that rejection from the computer. And how many people have gotten more than one of those in a day? Okay. You know, you apply for 15 jobs and you get 16 back. You know, because it's like a job you thought about applying for, they reject you. But that quote, you know, that constant dripping, it's like every time you get one of those rejections, it's like that constant, you know, like when your faucet isn't working, and all night you're hearing that dripping. Here's one from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." One of the most important things in transition is your attitude, is your enthusiasm. You know, we've all heard that the employment rate is 10%, but it's really probably 17%, because a lot of people just went home and stopped. The hardest thing for us is to have that enthusiasm and that good attitude every day. It's nice when we're around friends and we're around people who know what we're going through. We can all commiserate with each other. But an hour from now, when we're, you know, going our separate, or 2 hours, we're going our separate ways, you know, to have that enthusiasm about life, about just things in general. But this is transition, for lack of a better term, it sucks. It really sucks. Let's be honest. It's bad. Okay. Now that we've accepted that and we've admitted that, the challenge is to keep that enthusiasm and to keep going. Another quote, this is one of my favorite ones by Winston Churchill. He said, "If you're going through hell, just keep going." This is hell. That sums it up in a nutshell. That one by a woman named Karen Horney, which is a very interesting name. So concern should drive us into action, not depression. How many people here are concerned? So use that concern as your figure. When you have those times when you just don't feel good, when when your job search hits that wall, you don't know what you're going to do. How many people have woken? I just don't feel like job searching today. Okay? I just don't feel like it. I know I need to, but I just don't feel it. That concern, that fear, because I'll be honest, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm afraid, I'm scared. I have a wife and kid at home who have some habits. They like to eat. They like heat, hot water. Yes, I like cable. I do. I like turning that thing on and seeing it. So that fear is kind of what keeps me going. I'll talk in a minute about embracing your crazy. We all got our little bit of crazy. Mine, but we also have some fear. We may have, our situations may be different, but we have somebody else at home who can bring it. And we don't necessarily have to find a job yesterday, but some of us do. Some of us are in that situation. And the thing about fear, there's nothing wrong with fear. You know what I'm saying? Life is not about what happens to you, it's how you respond. There's nothing wrong with fear. How do you respond to fear? Do you let fear beat you down and hold you, or do you fight back? And when fighting back, one of my most favorite quotes is, "When outnumbered, attack." Now that's, I don't know how many Star Wars fans in here, but that was something that the Jedi said. And I say this, we are outnumbered, believe it or not. There's 10 or 20 million of us, but we're still outnumbered. When I was coming here this morning, coming down 75 to 285, 400, I figured I was one of the few people actually not going to work. I'm mad at everybody else, but I was one of the few people who wasn't going to work. So we are outnumbered. And the meaning of that is if you're backed into a corner, you can cover up or you can fight. We're outnumbered, we need to fight. We need to keep going. We need to keep fighting. Because if we don't, nobody's going to fight for us. I take martial arts, and last night, actually, our class, we were doing self-defense. That was the topic of the night. We were showing how, and it's funny, I was in that class, and it was 2 guys and like 6 women. But we were talking about how to defend yourself. And the thing about it, if you're attacked, as you make that decision to fight. You don't stop. You don't change your mind. If somebody attacks you, if you decide, well, I'm going to fight, then you keep going. You fight until there's nothing left, until you're dead or they're dead. And that's how this is. If you decide that I'm going to find a job, then you stop, you take your watch off, and you stop looking at how long you've been in transition. And you just say, I'm going to keep going until they win or I win. And the only way they're going to win is if I'm dead. So you just keep going. Let me ask you this question. How do you handle diversity? What kind of job seeker are you? That's the thing. There are different kinds of job seekers. Now, I have one friend who, she's what I call the hokey pokey job seeker. Remember that song, the hokey pokey? And that's how her job search was. She's been for a while, just that. Been for a while. We all know people like that, who they kind of are looking for a job, but they kind of aren't looking for a job. They look for a week, and then they take a week off. This is a woman who was in her high 50s, and she landed a job. And that made the rest of us really mad. That's really 20 every day. I say that to give you hope. She was a baby boomer, and all that you hear about baby boomers can't find jobs. She was doing it part-time, and she's still doing it. There are... It took her... She was out of work about a year. She was job searching about 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
And I mean, 3 months spread over a year. It was like, look. And that's the thing. People always ask how to take this. Remember, we were talking about the experts earlier. They said, remember they used to tell us it should take you a month for every $10,000 to live.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. By show of hands. By show of hands. How many people have been looking for a year? Of you people that have been looking for a year, are you looking for 6-figure jobs? Are you looking for $120,000 jobs? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? It's like when they told us that. And they also told us, now they said, when you're saving, take 6 months' salary and put it away for a rainy day.
Sure.
Yeah, okay? That 6 months went real quick, all right? But, but she was she was out for a little over a year. But she was, over that time, really, it was up and down, it really was. I had a lot of conversations with her. I was like, you are really getting on our nerves, right? I just want to give you hope. So, as a matter of fact, I know 2 women in their high 50s. One was like that, the other one was looking as hard as she could. And they both landed. So, it's funny, I had my original group of job seekers that when I first came out, it was only 7 of us. And the thing is, you say, we're all looking, we're all, hanging together, and it's like, but none of us wants to be the last one. Like when you're picking baseball teams in the gym, and you don't want to be the last one standing there with it. Guess who's the last one? The whole group landed. Or working. Some of them are contract work, but all landed. They're like, let's get together for lunch. I'm like, nope. And it's funny because I'm the one that told them way back when I said, we need to make sure we connect to each other. I said, after we all land, let's get together every quarter for lunch. They've all landed, except me. And they're like, well, let's get together. I'm like, no. You know, I ain't land yet. When I get a check in, you know. But anyway, but that's how long she was. But I'm saying, what kind of job she was? She was a Home Depot, we want to call her. There's the. You ever see the new job seekers? You know, it's like in prison when the new prisoners come in, like fresh meat. You know, it's like those are the new job seekers. Been out of work like, you know, a week and a half. You know, and they have that idea. I'm going to land a job in a month. I'm not worried. And I got a friend who's getting laid off this month, and he said, "Oh, I found a job. I'll find another one." I'm like, he and I've been talking like 6 months while I've been going through this. I'm like, you really haven't listened to anything I said. You know, you really think that okay, and maybe it will be for him. I mean, I have a friend who got laid off. She spent 31 days in Europe. Not working. She has an online boutique, so she was buying clothes. She spent 31 days, came back and landed her dream job in a month. I wanted to slice her tires. I'm happy for her, but I really. There's a few of those stories out there, and it's bad. We all know somebody like that, right? That landed, and we all want to slice their tires, right? But anyway, here's a kind. You're the job seeker that's a holdout. They came out transition about a month or so after they got out. They got an offer, and it was below what they wanted. I'm worth more than that. And like now it's been a year, and they're wishing they had taken that job. They're scared, job seeker. I'm scared. I may not show it, but you know, there's some people you can see on their face. They have that, you know, I call it the deer in the headlights look. You know, they're still like, they don't realize, they don't believe that they ended up here. And then there's finally, there's kinds called the optimists, which is what I'm trying to. How many optimists do you have? Okay. Really, how many optimists? I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story about optimism and pessimism. Pessimism. Somebody probably heard this story, but there's a woman had two sons. One was very optimistic, and one was very pessimistic. I mean, to the point they were extremes. I mean, extremely optimistic, extremely pessimistic. And she was concerned about it. And she took him to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist said, okay, well, let's try to test him. They took the pessimistic kid. They put him in the room with all these toys, Xboxes and everything, all kinds of stuff. And let the kid play with them. And just watch. And the whole time the kid was playing with these toys, he kept saying, you pick up something, you look at it, oh, this is great, but it's probably going to break. This one is great, oh, the batteries will fall out. Like, okay. So his kid is finding pessimism in everything. But then he went and looked at the other kid. He had put in the room with a pile of door. This is the optimistic kid. You see what he does? This kid's in there digging through. What are you doing? He said, well, with all this manure, there's got to be a party in there somewhere. The reason I tell that is because, and here's a really bad metaphor, but we're all digging through a lot of crap right now. We got to find our home. We got to keep digging. No matter how big this pile of stuff that we're dealing with is, we got to keep digging. One thing I keep saying is you got to keep going. The reason I'm doing this is my way of keeping going. This is what I want you all to do, just keep going. May I ask how many people in here, as bad as it may get, how many of you count your blessings? Because the thing is, you all know it. As bad as it is for you, somebody's got it worse. I went to a networking meeting maybe a month or two ago. Met a woman on a Monday night. After the meeting, she looked like she'd been crying. And I just said, how you doing? And she's talking. I said, well, I don't know how bad it is, but it can't be that bad. Somebody's got it worse. And she said, oh no, nobody's got it as bad as I do. I said, okay, well that's a challenge to me. I'm like, tell me why you got it so bad. And she was living in a hotel by herself, but she's about to get evicted in about 6 days. And she was, was weighing. And I said, wow, that's pretty bad. I said, well, look outside, it's raining right now, raining and cold right now. You got a warm roof over your head tonight. So there's some people who are out there and are out there. I'm not belittling what you're doing, but I said this. You don't have your pity party. You want to feel bad, have it. But don't turn it into a week-long celebration. So go back to the hotel tonight, cry, and take more, whatever you want to do. But in the morning, get up and ask yourself, well, what am I going to do about it? The train is coming down the track. You want to stand in the middle of the track, you're going to get hit. If you do nothing, you are going to get hit. If you all look in your future, you say, well, if I don't have a job by this date, I'm going to lose X. If you do nothing, that's going to happen. If you know, even if it doesn't work, just try something. Anybody know the story of the carrot, the egg, and the coffee? Oh, good. There was a woman who asked, who was going through a lot of stuff. She asked her mother, she talked to her mother about it. She's like, every time I try to do something, it blows up. It doesn't go well. I meet a man or whatever, or get a job, everything just always falls apart. She said, I don't know if I can go on anymore. So her mother said, come on in the kitchen. So her mother, they put on 3 pots of water. Bowl of water. And the mother told her daughter, go in the kitchen, go in the refrigerator and get a carrot, an egg, and some coffee beans. Put them in a bowl. We did. So they're standing there, the mother not saying anything. And the water starts boiling. The mother said, now put 1 in each bowl. So the first pot she put the carrot, the second one she put the egg, and the third one she put coffee. And they sat there for 20 minutes. Mother didn't say anything. So then the mother said, okay, I'll take them out. So she took out the carrot, put it in the bowl. She took out the egg, put it in the bowl. She took out the coffee, being poured it into a bowl. So the mother said, that's life. And the mother said, I don't get it, I don't understand it. She said, each of these things had to deal with the same adversity, the boiling water. So the carrot was strong and hard. It went in the water, and it came out soft and mushy. The egg was soft in the center. It had a hard shell, big hard shell. It went in the water. It came out hard all the way through. So the coffee beans went in the water. What did the coffee beans do? They changed the water. They changed their situation. The question I ask you is what are you? Are you a carrot? Are you an egg? Or are you coffee? When you deal with adversity, do you become like a carrot and let the adversity turn you soft and mushy and weak? Are you like an egg where the adversity makes you hard all the way through? When you were once had a soft heart and now it's hard. Or you like coffee, where you change the situation, you integrate with what the adversity is and make it better. So that's the question I ask all of is. Figure out what you are, figure out, because we're all dealing with the boiling water. How are we going to come out of the water is the question. Now let's talk about some facts about in transition. First of all, none of you are here because you're competent. Contrary to what the rest of the world wants you to think, nobody is here because of your competence. Everybody was laid off for some reason that had nothing to do with the job you were performing. How many people have excellent reviews right before they got laid off? Okay, you're doing a great job. You're doing too good a job. I actually had a job seeker tell me this, and this was funny. She said she was laid off so that the other people in her department would have to step up. You know, if somebody says that and they're dead serious, and you just go, oh, okay, if that's the story you want to believe, I'll let you know what happened. But that's the first thing. We're not here because of anything we did. So don't internalize this. This is not about you. This is about somebody in some faraway headquarters who decided, we got to cut something here. And what happens? They came down and they went to a manager. And they told him, you got to cut X dollars out of your budget, your payroll budget. He had a choice. Cutting you or cutting him. How many people here actually put themselves on the list to be laid off? Really? Wish you had now. It was a bad. I mean, you didn't.
No,
This is the first time I've heard that.
no, I was the manager of the store, and I saw that the company was kind of teetering. I kind of read, all the
Right.
lines and everything, and I had formed such a tight-knit group that I knew that none of them would leave me unless I was the first to go. So I sort of had to break
Fall on your
the
sword.
chain.
Now, did they close that store?
We were the last store standing. But yes, they did. They finally did about 6 months later.
Did you get severance?
No. No, but you know what I did? Well, in a way I did. While I was running that store, this is so funny. We found this wedding ring in the bathroom, and nobody ever came back for it.
That's pretty good severance.
And this is my severance, but it goes along with, I know. $5,700. And I know that because I found the artist, because I tried to get it back to the woman just over Thanksgiving. So I contacted him, I sent it back to him. He figured out whose it was from the time I had called him, the number of carats, the size. And he said, Mary, he goes, I know that she got her ring back because she got the insurance money, and I made her another ring and sent it to her. He said, this is your ring. He says, what size is your finger? I said, that's the funny thing, Gabriel. I said, it fits me perfectly.
Wow.
And then he said, what I'll do, he said, is I will refurbish it for you and send it back to you with an appraisal. Isn't that right? Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
And every time I put that ring on, I blessed that woman, and I asked her that she would find peace, or that I would somehow find a way to find her. Well, how funny, through this story, I was brought peace over this ring. You know what I mean? Now I'm at peace with this ring. Now I have a great inspirational story to tell people. Gabriel O'Feach, an amazing man. He could have said he found the ring, he could have kept the ring, he could have said it, but he's like, no, Mary, that ring is yours. He said, I'm not even going to tell you that woman's name because she does not need that ring. That ring is yours. Wow.
It's amazing how you started a conversation. That's an interesting story. Well, since there's only two of you, thank you. You put yourself on the list too?
It was either I get rid of people in the office, the way the dollars worked out, it was easy to take out one. So I took myself out. And I told them that was their gift.
Now let me ask this question. How many people in here wish they had worked for her? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I took myself out too. And it's an interesting story because I was stressed out, long story before everybody, and I left at the end of September, and I found out I would have been on the layoff list on December 16th, right before Christmas. So, and then my boss said, you did the right thing, you got out early. But I didn't realize it at the time.
You know what's funny? The three of you seem, and I'm not saying nobody else does, even in the transition, the three of you seem happy.
Very
You better believe it.
Yeah. What is the most amazing time of my life.
Yeah. And a lot of it's because of here too, this group.
So now you make me mad. Because I'll be honest,
I'm sorry.
the men's groups, Well, like I said to Jewel, this is the nicest smelling group I've
It's very, very different. It's a very different group. You'll never
Yes.
find another one like this.
You won't.
You can never,
So now you just gotta,
we're special.
I see now for next week, there's like 40 guys out there. I'm leading the charge. Anyway, like I said, it was, first of all, none of you are here for incompetence, right? Second thing, remember when you were working, somebody said, what do you do? And you were what your title is. I'm an operator, I'm an administrator. And the thing is, now you don't have those titles. You ever see that movie, Alter States? So, but it was John Hurt. It was this weird thing where he was a scientist. He wanted to do this experiment where he got into this isolation tank where you're in a tank with water that's body temperature, so you don't feel it, and it's dark. You don't hear anything. And the good thing was, what would happen to your mind if you had no input? And it was a weird movie. He turned into like this weird monster. It got weird. But that's the thing. When you have to look in the mirror and you don't have that ID, that badge to rely on for your identity. And see, and that's the thing too. You realize that all of your working careers, I did it too. Your identity was what you were. You know, I was a CFO, or I was a manager instead of I'm me. You know, somebody, you go to a cookout on the weekend, somebody say, tell me about you. The first thing you say about my job instead of about me. And the thing is, in transition, we now have to look at ourselves without those titles. We have to look at who we are. This is interesting. Everybody, who in here knows what the unemployment rate is?
The real one or the one that they
The one that
the one that they report?
Is it important?
Yeah.
Why is it important?
Oh, no, I just was saying, yeah, I don't think it's important. You can't worry about it.
Well,
It
and
is
that's
what it
exactly
is.
the thing.
Yeah,
is,
it is.
the unemployment rate is not important. The only thing that matters is what side of the line you're on. If the unemployment rate, they say it's probably 10% or 12 or whatever. They say the unemployment rate is 99%, and you're that one person with a job, it's good. They say the unemployment rate is 1%, and you're that one person without a job, it's bad. So the point is, don't listen to it. It doesn't matter. People say, well, how's the economy doing? The economy is doing good or bad. It doesn't matter how the economy is doing. Because the day I land a job, the economy is going to be doing great. Up until I land a job, the economy sucks. That's just because it doesn't really matter. You hear the stuff on it doesn't. The unemployment rate is going up. Well, managers, how many heard this? Remember, it was they're going to start hiring over the summer. Then it was the end of the summer, they're going to start hiring. Then it was after Thanksgiving, they're going to start hiring. And it's, first of the year, they're going to start hiring. They've been hiring all along. Maybe not us, but they've been hiring. People have been landing. So don't worry about what they're saying in the news. You have to just start ignoring it. Who is your best friend? Nobody's going to do this. Who is your BFF right now? In transition, you know who your BFF is? Oh, okay, who's your second best friend? I would say this, your best friend is left field. Left field. How many people know somebody that landed or got an interview, and you say, well, how did you hear about it? They say, it came out left field. The thing you least expect, you will go to a networking event and you won't talk to that person for 3 months, and all of a sudden you'll get a call from that person out of left field. And the thing is, because of the nature of left field, it comes when you least expect it. The worst thing is to meet a superior opportunity with inferior attitude. So you've always got to you've always got to have a positive attitude, because you never know. Last night I sent I have a manager I used to work with. I'm trying to I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to network my way back into the company. But they're looking for somebody, for a business analyst. Who knows this? I sent them this email out to my mailing list. I said, because I told them, you know, you can put the jobs on company job board, and you can put it on LinkedIn and this and that. But I said, to me, the best way to find people is to get into these network groups. You know, if you have a mailing list, to get on this mailing, that's how you find people. I found out about the job last Thursday. I sent her a candidate last night. I don't know if this is going to be a hire, but she's looking to hire somebody quickly for this role. And she's been interviewing for a couple of weeks, you know, in 3 or 4 days, or a holiday even. We identify somebody quick. That's how good these networks are. You know, because I mean, honestly, we all may have our LinkedIn agent, search agent set up, but how many people are actually going to a bunch of company websites every day and checking to see if they got a new job? You know, most of us would probably put our search agents around, and those search agents might not hear. You know, they might not see a job for a week or two. So, my point is with left field, you never know. I mean, the person that I move forward for her, I never met, but I saw her resume. And this person didn't know me from Apple. But out of left field, somebody contacted her and said, hey, look, somebody's looking for something. So my point is, left field is your best friend. How many people in here, I mean, we asked earlier about being happy, but how many people in here are not always happy? Be honest. Think about it. Some people just wake up smiling. Like yellow smile on your face. But how many of you have, you know, when you're working, when you're networking with your friends, the people transitioning, they're not happy campers. And let me tell you this, when you meet somebody who's having a bad day, the worst thing you can do is try to cheer them up. Worst. Remember back in high school, we had a friend, a big one of you, the boyfriend dumped him, and all, you know, women do that. You know, y'all are gathered around. Guys, we don't do that stuff. You know, like, hey, sorry. She available? That's what we do. That's what we do. But you know, it's like the worst thing you can do is try to cheer them up. Or you know, how many of you know, when you're feeling bad and somebody comes over with the pom poms and everything, you know, and you know, you want to kill them. The thing is, when you meet somebody like that, what you need to do, first of all, you have to acknowledge their pain, whatever they're going through. Just acknowledge it. Yeah, you know, oh yeah, that's bad. But the reason I say that is so that then you can hit them when they're not expecting. Not hit them, right? If you go there, if you're having a bad day, you know, you're one bad day every 3 years that you have, I just happen to run into you. And I said, you know, and then I can ask you a simple question. What are you going to do about it? Now, once I've gone there with you, I can ask you that question. And you'll start thinking about what you can do about it. But if I walk up to you and you're having a bad day and I said, that sucks, what you going to do about it? You'll probably hit me and walk away feeling a little better. Because you hit me. But my point is this, when you network with your friends and they're having those bad days, it's like you have it. Don't try to cheer them up. Just go there with them, listen to them, let them boo-hoo or whatever, but then challenge them to get up and do something about it. Don't leave them there.
And he is, what he's saying does apply because we've become good friends. And after one of my interviews, the timing was unbelievable. I think I found out like 15 minutes, and then he calls me. And he's like, well, what about the job? And I'm like, you tracking me, what? And he was like, okay, he got these, he said, Jewel, you know, it's bad, and then he was like, okay. Now, and I told him, I said, look, it's going to be me and the bunny slippers. We'll get to that in a minute. It'll be me and the bunny slippers today. Then tomorrow, I'll get up. But right now, I'm going to let me have this moment. Yes, and then I got better. But you know what he said, it was perfect. And he was the only. It was funny. He was the only person that called me that day.
And she had a bad day too. And I didn't call you the rest of the day. I called you like the next day. Okay. But yeah, thing is, we're all in, I keep saying we're all in this together. And we really got to do each other. Because when I'm having bad days, she call me. Remember when you were working, you were what I call confidently employed. Remember that? Had a job, all was good. I'm going to say this, and I want y'all to jump on. Well, two things people said. Remember when you were working and you said, I just feel like getting a new car. You know? My car is dirty. I just feel, they got a new color. I just feel like getting it. I'm going to say this and back up. How many people have said, I don't need these boots, I want these boots?
Of course. Especially
That's why I backed up. But that's what I thought. It's that confidently employed. Remember, Starbucks was the best coffee in the world when you had a job, right? $5 for coffee was nothing. But you know what you went from? You went from being confidently employed. Now you got cooties. Remember cooties when you were a kid? Right? You got cooties now. You don't believe me? How many people in here have tried to call somebody you used to work with? And they were on the phone like, oh, call me myself. You know, call me after work. How many people have tried to get a LinkedIn recommendation from somebody you used to work with? You're like, can I just email you something? It's cool. I have some great visuals about it.
Yeah, he does have this slide presentation.
But that's, the good thing is everybody in here has cookies. So we maybe you should be. With your happy self.
There's no reason to be sad.
You're right.
No, there's not. Yeah, there's not. And I mean, I think we talk about that a lot in our group. You know, I mean, yeah, Jewel, you know, we all have bad days, and we all know that. But being sad isn't going to get us anywhere. So pick yourself up and keep going. I mean, and we do talk about that, and I think that's what is, we all know is special about our group, that, you know, we tell each other that a lot. You know, and someone calls you on the phone and says, don't worry, you'll get through it. I'm sorry they didn't pick you for that job, whatever, you know, whatever. So we, you know, I think
Well,
we
you know,
know
it's-
that.
The sad thing is that the sad thing about this group is the thing that makes it special is it's because it's all women.
Sure, sure. I would say that too.
And we
Yes.
express our emotions in this room.
Yeah.
Because I'll be
We
honest,
can be
guys,
They don't express
No,
their
we know
emotions.
that.
We're-
No, they don't. Yeah.
In this room, I mean, we have a lot of new people, but there's a lot of old timers here, and most of us old timers have cried at
Oh,
some
yeah.
point in this room.
Yeah.
And we allow ourselves to cry amongst each other.
Yeah.
and that's a good thing.
See, what we do is we admit our feelings,
Uh-huh.
but we don't let our emotions take over our thought
Well, you know,
process.
I think what women do is they let their emotions out. Because with
Right.
men,
They let them out, they deal with them, they don't push them down and deny them. But
Yeah.
then,
I've been married for 8 years, so.
but you know what? I'll be honest, like, there is a different vibe in this room. I've done this presentation at about 7 or 8 different networking meetings. This is the first almost all female group. And
Female plus one, two, it's you.
What'd you say?
it's a female plus 2.
Oh, plus two.
But the sad thing is, I mean, as a guy, I'm looking at saying this would be great from an emotional support perspective for men. But there's no way you can bring men in mass.
Right.
You know, and we, you know, obviously all of you have been to C3G. This is my own commentary. I just got a problem with separate tables. That's just me.
Thank you.
Well, and this is where I get politically incorrect, and I don't have a job, so they can't fire me. But I went and read on the website about why they do that, because I wanted to know.
Right.
What's
Explain to me.
Well, what they said on the website is they want people to feel comfortable expressing themselves. And I'm thinking, well, I just met this table of 8 people. I'm not expressing myself with these people anyway. I think, and this is my own personal opinion of being in transition and seeing people, there are a lot of sharp women in transition that would be intimidating to see. Don't tell them I said that.
There's more to that. Honestly, I do think that sometimes when you're going through a very difficult time in life, that you need to have a feeling of safety. And if men feel safer just kind of sharing with one another than to have women and get the sex thing in the middle because they're vulnerable, you know. I have no problem with separate tables. I just thought it was kind of unusual. When I got there, I didn't understand what the hell was going on. I did not do what you did, which was to find out more about it. I just thought, these people are strange. But then I liked it. I thought,
But you see,
I see.
the thing, and I'm not trying to debate it, but
Yeah, let's not debate it,
no, but
because
when you have,
I stand
but
where
think
I
about,
stand.
you have
and I
about
know you
four,
stand where
you
you
go, you have
stand.
about 4 or 5 tables of women, and 58 tables of men. And maybe the person that I really need to network with is sitting over there at one of those tables. And I
But
don't
they
get a
have
chance.
subgroups though too, where it is mixed,
Well, let me-
and whatever your interests are.
Well, let me say this.
you go to them.
Let me challenge on this. My background, I got 20 years in insurance. I worked for a large Fortune 100 insurance company. I worked for small regional insurance companies. I've worked all through the insurance industry. I understand insurance from an operations and a financial perspective. Is there anybody in this room who I should network with?
Yeah.
Now, if I went to C3G only, I would never be doing these.
Well, but that's not, they encourage participation in the subgroups.
But I'm
because
saying,
that's where you
I would
really
never
find
meet,
out
but I
about
would never
jobs.
meet them here. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
And
but let's just say, like for instance, this is an all-female group.
Yeah.
The same thing could be said by those men who aren't coming in here too, so.
Right.
But
you
if
know,
a
I
bunch of
think
guys
that
showed up,
is-
y'all would probably kick them out.
I know you did.
For them.
Usually when I
Now doesn't feel comfortable being here.
Exactly.
Well, I think what we're, I'm sorry, go
But
ahead.
going around that table, I would bet money on, and I'm not a betting woman, but I would bet money on the fact that men go around their table differently than women. Men spend probably most of their time on the first 2 questions. Women probably spend most of their time on that 3rd question that we talked about. Women talk more about our situation, what help we need, this, that, and the other. Men strategize more at their table.
But you know what, I think,
on how.
and this is,
Yeah.
And I think our conversation might get in the way of theirs and we'd frustrate each other at
well, I
that
think the
table.
thing with men, and what we're really talking about here, actually, this is not something I talk about, but since we're here, let's talk about it. Is some societal issues that we're really getting, that are hitting transition. But I think what men do, what we tend to do is, we're always on stage. Whereas women can, you will let down your guard with each other, because like you said, it's a feeling of safety. Men, we don't. Because, you know, I just met these 7 guys. I'm not going to tell them about the argument I had with my wife last night about why I'm not finding a job. So I would venture to say, if you would put a microphone in those tables, there's a lot more sharing with the women, even if you don't know each other.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
George, anyone else?
Right. Because, and with women, it goes in when you're not playing. You know, with men, well, that's that guy. You know, we don't forget. And society has taught us, you know, you're the man of the house and all that, and you always got to be strong and this and that. And all of a sudden you find yourself in this situation. And I'll be honest, it's blowing a lot of our minds. It really is. Not just the baby boomers, but it's a lot of men in their 20s and 30s and 40s that are just blown away. And I can see where women would feel more comfortable. But I'm just talking from a pure networking standpoint. It's too bad that there's not a better mechanism where we could all get to meet. because of some of you I wouldn't have met had I not come here. But I do understand, from a woman's standpoint, it's like this meeting. You don't want men in this meeting, and because you can't share, you can't be open and honest. And it's not that, you know, if you met a man and a woman who you didn't know, you would feel more camaraderie with that woman and feel easier. And that's just the nature of things. You know, if there were a meeting of all black people and all white people, when you find something in common, you just share it. So I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, no, you
go
didn't.
there. But it's good because that's the conversation I can't have in other network events because there's frankly too many guys in the room.
Yeah.
And guys have a tendency to try to take over.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And going back to a statement that you made earlier about being scared, and you give this talk, you said about the networking groups. How does that go over in groups that are predominantly men? They don't like to admit they're scared.
Or do you say that?
I can say it.
And how do they react?
I think, and that's the thing with this
Because we all agree with
transition.
you, Sal. here.
Well, this transition is so different where if I said it to a bunch of guys at a cookout,
Right.
you know, but when in transition, it's
Share that commonality.
yeah, but it's like sometimes you say it and it hits them and they're like, wow. And the first reaction, I don't really said that, you know, like, yeah, I'm scared too. And it's kind of like it opens the door. So, I mean, and I'm not trying to make you feel sorry for me, but there's a lot of craziness going on in my mind. And it's because of going into transition when all of our lives we have been told we're stronger, we're better, da 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 da. And all of a sudden we're here in transition and it's like, wait a minute, all the stuff that we were told, it's not working out. It's a really
It's a vulnerable state.
yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic men and women, and yeah, this is really the first time that this has come up in this presentation, and it only is coming up because this room is women, and I'm thankful because I couldn't have this conversation. You know, I mean, you guys go minds a little bit, you know, made me think about things a little bit, and I hope that I mean, this group is special. The vibe in here is special, and it's because it's all men. And as much as I say some men would benefit from this, it would take away. I mean, one man a week would be fine. One man a week would be fine. And I'll be honest, the guys, we're cool with that. But I wouldn't invite a bunch of guys to this because it really would change the whole dynamic.
Well, one of the things that we struggled with when some of us took over this group a while back, we started bringing in speakers, and we were publicizing. And once we started to do that, and this was C3G Women's Group, we did have some men. I know, Jennifer, you fielded some questions, Stephanie did, you know, can men come to the group? And we kind of got together and said, what do we do? My thought, I think, and I don't remember what all our thoughts were, because there was
We
something.
had a meeting on this.
We did. Oh, yeah.
See, that's
What do we do?
And it went on for a long
Yeah.
time.
So we were
A lot of single women saying, yeah, all that.
And so then we were like, okay. You know, so when we did finally come to, you know, conclusion that sure, men can come, it's not a problem. You know, they can come when we have speakers, we thought
then
that
they have
was
to
great.
leave. We
And
had
then we
very
said they would,
little.
you know, after the speakers, they would leave. And then that way it gave us time to still have our regular part of the meeting where we could share and we could open up. So that was a struggle with the group. I mean, it really was.
I don't
Yeah.
think there's not a men's something because it's.
Yeah, well, that was the Monday group was an offshoot of ours. We were they were the Monday group men, and we were the women's
Right.
group. We all met the same place, and then they went to North Point,
Right.
and then kind of expanded. And the women's group actually came to ours trying to figure out how they were going to do the women's group
Right.
there. So we were the
We
original
were
women's
the
group.
original. Wow. You didn't know that, did you now?
But,
Really
you know,
special.
but the thing is, you got to, and I think probably what happened in your discussion was the question is this a support group or network group? Because a support group, this is very supportive, but from a pure networking standpoint, you know, it would be great to network with anybody. I'm not saying
Sure,
bring it in,
yeah,
you know what I'm
sure.
saying, but that's where you have to say, okay, well, what are they? But anyway, this, go ahead, no, this is,
There's another guy that with networking that I travel around with, and he knows Tyrone, so I said, Tyrone's gonna speak at this group. Oh, well, July might come, and I was like, excuse me, this is just for the women.
Oh, no.
And he was like, oh, okay, well, and he's also one that he was out, after he was out about a month, and he had seen Tyrone's presentation about the cootie thing. And so he says, he's talking to me, he's like, but Jewel, I called 3 people I used to work with, and none of them called me back. I said, you got the cooties. And he said, huh? I said, don't you remember Tyrone telling you had the cooties? And he was like, oh, and so it sunk in, you know, because you got to hear it more than once sometimes. But, you know,
I said, "Look at the cooties, they don't need me."
yeah, okay.
okay, good. I'm gonna try to, this has been great, I appreciate it, but I'm getting that little bit. So I'm gonna try to wrap up. A couple of points I do want to make. You know, your parents and your friends don't understand this. You know, it's funny, that guy you married 10 years ago who was brilliant, smart, and everything else, once you went transition, he got stupid. He started asking you stuff like, you know, how's your job search going? You know, your friends that, you know, say, well, when you gonna get a job? Well, they got a job, why can't you get a job? You know, people, and they don't mean it to be mean, they just don't know what it's like. And even us, we ask each other stuff like, you might go say to somebody, well, hey, what's working for you? And I say, nothing is working for me. Working for me, I keep working. Let me try to wrap this up. Real quick, there was some things that we hate about transition. I got to make this one. The top 10 things like lettering that we hate. Number 1 is recruiters who don't return your phone calls. That's number 10. Number 9, rejection emails. Get rejection emails. Number 8 is not getting rejection emails. Number 7 is job fairs. Number 6 is job seekers who think the meeting is all about them. You're gonna have everybody giving their 30-second elevator speech, and one person goes on for like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Number 5 is experts who contradict each other. So you've been sending out your resume for 3 months and not getting nothing back, and then somebody, you go to an event and they say, well, it should be more than 1 page. And you go, oh, I got 2 pages. Change the font, change the border, and print it all on 1 page, start sending that out, and then all of a sudden you go to another meeting and they say, oh, well, you got 20 years, why are you always on 1 page? Number 4, behavioral interviews. But I say, I'll go to number 1. The one thing we hate. Anybody applied for a job online, and you see a job, you like it, you say apply now, you click it, and in the middle of the screen it has that those words, powered by Delay. And you sit there and you go, oh. Exactly. You know, when you got to sit and think about if the job you're applying for is worth the pain you got to go through to apply for it.
And then when you hit send and your computer freezes and it doesn't even go, and you gotta start all over again. Yeah.
It's not your computer. It's too late.
It happens all the time to everyone I know.
And I'll say this, if any of you are in HR and you end up in a situation where you have to renew their contract, don't. That company, and I don't know anything about the company, I just say that that's an example of mediocrity. I'm sorry to put it that way, but the people who hire that
which one of the systems are you most comfortable with that you would recommend?
The systems?
Yes, because you don't like to lay.
Well, you don't like it, but you gotta deal with it.
No, I know. But if you were
to choose.
in charge, which one would you choose?
I would, because they have like 90% of the market, it seems like.
Well, they have a lot.
I'd say, I would look at the way I've set up my filters. Because like I said, you know, you apply for a job and you get that immediate rejection because they didn't see your keywords.
Yeah.
You know, and you understand with the HR people, I don't know if you have any in the room, but you did a list of 500 resumes, you're trying to figure out a way to cut it down. That's all you're trying to do. That's all you want to do is cut it down, you know. Everybody, white man.
What's wrong with you?
She's our HR person.
You every one of them?
Every one of them.
Okay, I don't mean this insult. I don't mean this insult. You're special.
I'm just kidding, I know.
But you know what I'm saying? You know, they're trying to cut that list down. And it's I'm sorry?
They're screening you out.
Yeah, they're not screening you out based on who's the best person. They're just trying to get the number down to a manageable number.
Yep.
We got to deal with it. But I think, you know, if there's some companies that have implemented it right, you ever go to a site and they go, oh, we already have an account, you want to use this information? But when you apply for 10 jobs in one day and Taleo's running all of them, and you have to fill out a Taleo account for every one of them, I'm like, come on, you guys got all my information, why I got to read through all of this? You know? Or let me then, what I hate is at the end when they say, want to upload your resume? I just spent 20 minutes typing it in. But anyway, let me wrap up and say this. Jules mentioned something, and you guys probably didn't understand what she said. Bunny slippers are evil. I got a website called bunnyslippersarevil.com. And why are bunny slippers evil? Because if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you got on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. What you say to you? You cannot network. Maybe your last job you work from home. Transition, you cannot do it from home. You can't network from home because you know everybody in your house already. So just remember, bunny slippers are evil. I got a really nice logo. I got a website. I do a podcast on the weekends, and it's on iTunes, and it's only about jobs. That's all it's about. Okay, I'm trying to get as many people to go look at it. It's free. I'm trying to get people to go look at it as possible. Last week I did the show on New Year's resolutions for job seekers. I will tell you what they are. Go listen. I'm going to wrap up.
Oh, you know what time? What one of your top 10 things is your last business card?
Oh, the business card, yeah. How many people got those 250 or 500 distant print business cards? That was number 2. And you figure when you bought them, when I get through these, I'll have them. Yeah. All right. You got those mental barriers. I got 3 left from my original set. I haven't reordered yet. I've been holding on to those 3 because I just can't bring myself to reorder. Yeah. All right. I mean, I'm using Avery labels now, printing them off myself because I can't bring myself to order anymore. But that's one of those things that, unless you've been there, you can't understand it. Yeah. And the funny thing about Vistaprint is like everybody's got it. You ever get somebody's card and go, oh, that's the same design I did. But anyway, I hope this has been enjoyable. First, I thank you all for coming. Like I said, go to the website. A real nice picture of me, real nice picture of the bunny.
Bunny slippers? It is an evil bunny.
Bunny slippers are evil.
Oh, well.
Oh, yes, I've been calling them that.
There was a teenage thing a few years back. It was like Evil Bunny, and it was on T-shirts, and it was a logo.
That's what mine is. But all I say is, when you land, and we all will land, if you found this helpful, go buy a T-shirt or mug or something on the website. I don't get that much for it, but I'm just saying, I want you to buy it so that when you get back to it, that you never forget what this is like. Because the reality is, we're going to be looking for jobs the rest of our lives. We could all land tomorrow. You know, and I look at this as like the immunization. Remember, you got your immunization shots, and you get a little bit of the disease so that you build up an immunity to it. Because they say we're going to be back in this in a couple of years. So those of us who are going through it now, this is like our immunization. So that if it happens again, we can deal with it. But I don't want you to forget the feeling you have right now, whether it's fear or whatever, anger, whatever. Don't forget this feeling. And when you land a job, don't shut out your friends who are still looking. Those informational interviews, if somebody calls you for 15 minutes, give them a half hour. But don't forget this feeling. And don't stop working your network. And don't become career selfish, as I call it. Start looking at building your bullets for your resume. That's what you do. Forget about job company loyalty, because if there was any loyalty, except for these 2, if there was any loyalty, we wouldn't be here. So don't go back into a job thinking, oh, I'm going to be here for 20 years. You may be, but you may not. So be selfish about your career. Anyway, one time, but thank you very much.
significant others, because many of us have that situation where two of us are in this transition mode and trying to keep each other up and.
Well, you know what I'm trying to
So
put
that's
together?
another dynamic.
I'm trying to put together a networking event based on time in transition. Because the message that you tell somebody who's been out for 2 weeks
Right.
is totally different than what you tell somebody who's been out for a year.
Yep, you're right.
And a lot of the networking groups are very generic.
Right.
They just give one message and
Yeah,
everybody's
and it
supposed to
doesn't,
do
you're
it.
right.
Sure.
So, but I'll leave my card on, but thank you.
Good.
I
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry for running off.